more and more getting the All right. Good afternoon and welcome to the meeting of the Parks, Arts and Community Services Commission of March 25th, 2021. We'll call this meeting to order at 4:03. And if we could ask Commissioner Pullen to lead us this afternoon in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Absolutely. Are we standing or are we?
We just want to see your short.
Is everybody ready?
Yes, sir.
Ready? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. The roll call. Vice Chair Rutherford,
Present.
Commissioner Glab, Commissioner Pullen,
Present.
Commissioner Garcia,
Here.
Commissioner Andrade Vallarta,
Here.
Commissioner Dorn Parker.
Here.
All right, thank you very much. The next order of business.
Excuse me, Commissioner, I do see Commissioner Glab. Did we let him in? Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'm here.
Thank you. All right.
For the purposes of the roll call, just to acknowledge that Commissioner Glab is in attendance.
Yes, Commissioner Glab, did you? Here, there he
Yeah.
is.
I was
All
having
right.
some technical difficulties, sorry.
That's all right. The next order of business is approval of the minutes from February 25th. Do we have a motion to approve?
This is Liz, also move.
All right, second.
I'll second.
Thank you. It's been moved by Commissioner Dorn Parker and seconded by Commissioner Glab. We'll call the roll vote. Vice Chair Rutherford,
Yes.
Vice Chair, Commissioner Glab,
Yes.
Commissioner Pullen,
Yes.
Commissioner Garcia,
Yes.
Commissioner Andrade Vallarta,
Yes.
and Commissioner Dorn Parker,
Yes.
and yes for Commissioner Ashendorf. All right,
The motion carries 7-0.
thank you. Next item of business, public comment. Public comment will be received from anyone in the public not on items on our agenda, limited to 3 minutes. Sylvia, do we have anyone in the public wishing to address the commission this evening?
I show one hand raised. I have David Martinez. Just a moment. David, would you like to speak?
Hello, commissioners. I recently biked over to Perez Park. It's very nice, but I just wanted to make one comment regarding the bike rack that's at Perez Park. First of all, I appreciate the fact that there's a bike rack. That's pretty good, considering some parks, like Fairview Park doesn't have a bike rack yet. Hopefully it does in the future. But the rack at Perez Park, it's a hoop and it's parallel to the wall and it's very close to the wall. So if you try and put your bike on the side that's close to the wall, you're either going to be scraping the wall, your bike, or the bike rack. It's a very tight fit. You can barely fit in there when you're standing, and your bike is probably wider than you are, so it's tough to get in there. And if there's already a bike on the outside, then it's practically impossible to put one in the area between the bike rack and the wall. And plus there's a fence on one side and there's a trash can on the other side. So I just hope for future bike rack installations at parks, we can make sure that it's accessible and wide enough to fit all bikes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Martinez, for your valuable comment this evening.
If I could make a comment on that really quick, that there are some gates to be installed at the park, and once those gates are installed, we will actually be removing that bike rack and trying to find another more adequate location. If you've been by the park, it's teeny tiny, and there aren't a lot of places for it. So we're gonna work with our public services team to find a way to try to get an adequate bike rack in, but it will be relocated. We're just not sure where yet.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Ms. Chalmers?
I see none.
Thank you
Chair
very
Atkins.
much. We'll close public comment. Next item is commissioner comments.
Real quick, Commissioner, we also have listed under there was an email correspondence that was received from a member of the public. If you recall, Miss Roseanne Eichenbaum
Yes,
had an item at our last meeting about a tree removal. If you haven't seen the email, it was attached to the electronic agenda. If anybody didn't see it, I can make sure that we get it sent to you, but that correspondence was received. We just wanted to make sure that the commission gathered it for a matter of the record.
thank you, Mr. Minter, and that will be added into the minutes.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
All right, we'll start with commissioner comments. Vice Chair Rutherford.
Thank you, Chair Ashendorf. I just wanted to say, give a brief report that I attended the mural unveiling at Strut Bar and Club. Charlene was there. I didn't see anyone else there, but I'm sure all of you have seen it and read about it, and I encourage you to go visit it. It's a beautiful mural on the side of the building there. So the unveiling was quite an exciting event over the weekend. I've also been continuing to participate in the housing element study sessions. And for all of you that have not yet participated in that, I encourage you to tune in and involve yourself in this process, because it's the visioning of what our city is going to look like for the next decade. So I know the council is very engaged with this, staff are very engaged with this, and it'll also be very, important for parks in the city as well, and in lieu fee funding to come to the department. We also received the email from our former chair and former commissioner, Jim Erickson. He's now on the Bikeway Committee. And I just wanted to reiterate and bring up some of the concerns that he raised via email, that in particular, Fairview Park still does not have a bike rack. I know that's been brought up previously, but it would be awesome to get that bike rack out at Fairview Park, or multiple bike racks. You can't go wrong with more bike racks. And then also there's concerns about field access, and Luke Davis Field. This is another time this has been brought up to me specifically, but folks are concerned about not having access to Luke Davis Field, which is in West Side. Even it being all lit up at night, but kids can't, folks can't go play soccer there, and instead they're wearing down the grass in front of the new library. So I just wanted to bring that up and hope that the field use allocation policy is something that we as a commission can look at going forward as fields and sports start to reopen. So thank you, and those are my comments tonight.
Thank you. Comments, please, from Commissioner Glab.
No, I don't have any comments. Well, one, jumping off of Commissioner Rutherford and that email, I was over at Costa Mesa High School today, and in the email he talked about facility use agreement with Newport Mesa and the city, and right now they're still pretty sketchy on opening up the schools to outside use and facilities, especially indoor facilities. Indoor facilities are definitely out for now in regard to using the district's facilities outside of school time. So, and I'll mention that to, I sent an email to Jim to mention that to him as well.
Thank you. Commissioner Pullen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Hello, everybody. I am going to start off my comments by, I'm sure a lot of you have heard by now that this will be my last commission meeting. my business was a victim of the COVID-19 pandemic, and my wife and I have decided that we're going to move to Atlanta, Georgia, which is my hometown. I can tell you guys that when I took this commission, I had no intention. Actually, it's funny. My wife brought up moving to Atlanta. I never thought I'd move back to Atlanta, and I've lived in California for 30 years, and it's kind of for me almost kind of a bittersweet thing where I had a lot of plans for the city, running for mayor and being on the commissions and volunteer service. I hope that you guys will take some of my ideas, which I'll put down on paper, and share it with all you guys, and get those things started in the city. One of my biggest things is volunteer service, and I think that if we get a volunteer registry on our websites for the city, whether it be the PAC's website, the city website, whatever it be, if we have a volunteer database, we'll start seeing a lot more people get involved with the city and starting to help out, because they'll get these emails and they will have a desire to want to help, so those are the things that one of the major things that I want to work on with the city. Like I said, I'm bummed that we're leaving, and it's kind of an immediate thing. I'm the type of person, I don't like to procrastinate or wait on things. So when I make a decision, it's kind of an immediate decision, and we just go with it, So we will be leaving California on April 6th, headed across our great country, and we're going to do a American tourist tour across the United States and see some of the fantastic sites in our country. So I will definitely miss all of you guys. I will promise you that I'm going to pop in from time to time and say hi and see how things are going with parks and everything else in Costa Mesa. And I can also promise you that I will be back this way. I'm not going to say I'm going to move back this way, but I will be back here to visit because I have a lot of friends and loved ones here in Costa Mesa. So this will be my last meeting, and I appreciate you guys all being welcoming to me and your volunteer service. So that's my comments.
Thank you, Commissioner Pullen. We are going to miss you. Getting to know you over the last year has been really a pleasure. Your energy, your volunteer enthusiasm. Keep your eye on Costa Mesa, though. We hope you'll keep looking our way.
Yes, ma'am. The last thing that we're doing, I don't know if you guys heard Mayor Foley on last week for the council meeting announced this Be Kind thing, So I will drop some of these stickers and some other stuff off to either Sylvia or the parks office, so that I can have you guys all have these decals and things like that. I've had some banners around the city and some yard signs, and it's basically just to get people thinking a different way. I think if you're reminded to be kind, that reminder is going to come with a little bit of action, even if it's one little kind thing, So I'm happy that Mayor Foley, well, after today to be former Mayor Foley, has made April Be Kind Month, and I look forward to it, to contributing in which way I can for these next weeks or so.
Thank you so much. Best wishes. Commissioner Garcia.
Hi, thank you for asking. I've got none at this time.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Andrade Vallarta.
Yeah, I have an opportunity for accessibility to one of the local parks here in District 5 is a crosswalk or some sort of signage that will get cars slowed down for people to access Wilson Park from the Victoria Street direction. Wilson Street, there's no crosswalks between Fair and Harbor, and cars just zoom by there frantically. We have lots of households with children along that corridor, and it's a game of Russian roulette to trying to get to Wilson Park. So it'd be great if we can speak to the appropriate agency that can help us get accessibility to that local park.
I believe that's something we could share with the Bikeway Walkability Committee. I know it's been discussed by a few different parties, but I can check with public services and find out where they're at with that.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Dorn Parker?
Yeah, first of all, Commissioner Pollan, I'm sorry to see you go. It's a loss for the city, but I wish you well. And I'm sorry I did not get a chance to work alongside you on this commission, but I wish you well and safe travels across our country. So, which is great. So I wanted to report, I ended up spending a Sunday afternoon riding my bike to all of the parks on the east side. And the new park, Perez, which was actually named after a woman who was a former employee at OCC I had the pleasure of knowing. So I did see the bike racks there, and I saw just a ton of families already occupying space. So once that gate gets up there, I just think it's going to even explode even more with resources. And seeing all those little teeny tiny, it's really a toddler park, which is great because there's very few places for littles can go to. And it was so fun to see multi-generations. Then we went around to all the parks that I went around to as my kids were little. They grew up around the east side. And it was interesting as I've been posting pictures and things and sharing with the parks. And there's a couple shout outs that I had back in private messaging, and I'd like to explore this, both my connection to an Environmental Nature Center and my obvious connection with OCC Horticulture. There's some space, and I know we're trying to look at the different softscape and to see how we can have, more native plants. But one of the questions really came up is there a way we can really explore softscape that's butterfly sensitive? There was two that really wanted bees, but I explained bees are a tough one. We know that the bees are an endangered risk, but to have sort of bee friendly softscape is a little tough with so many people that are highly allergic. But I'd love to, and I'm happy to make the connection to OCC and maybe ENC to see how we can maybe use their expertise. In particular, there's one park, the Lindbergh Park, that has a lot of brown spots that they noticed in my pictures. So I just would like to explore that. I'm happy to raise my hand and say I'm happy to connect that, but that might be a really great resource we can bring into our parks, is to the horticulture and ENC to understand how our softscape that's native then also can help some of our insects, especially our butterflies. And so with that, I'm going to continue to explore the different parks in my community and see what people think. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. And a few comments. I'd like to remind everybody that tomorrow is the very last day to visit your city parks and uncover those eggs. It's been so much fun hopping around from park to park, trying to identify where those were hidden. And they have received a lot of positive feedback. Wanted to also share with you that the Poderosa mural on Baker will be leaving town. It's headed to San Diego on its next stop to share the life and history of these women. So get out and see it before it leaves town. And yes, Vice Chair Rutherford, the unveiling was truly a breath of fresh air. Art unveiled in a public space. Really excited about that. I would like to suggest that as we open up, that the commissioners are offered an opportunity to do park ranger ride-alongs. It was something that we had the privilege of doing over 2 years ago now, wasn't it, Vice Chair? And it's a wonderful way to see your parks through a ranger's eye. So I hope that staff will be able to make that opportunity available for all of the commissioners. And finally, I would like to add to closed parks. I was at Harper Park at 425 East 18th, which is adjacent to Newport Mesa's Cloud Campus. And it was on a Friday afternoon, it was locked down, but people were climbing over the fence to get access to the park. So not only is it our public park, but it provides some kind of danger when people see the park and want to get there. So I'm hoping we can explore the boundaries that we have and open up our parks to everyone in the community. And that concludes my comments. Yes, Chair. Sorry, you're muted, Commissioner.
That I just want to clarify that the school that's there is a charter school. It's not Newport Mesa Unified Run School. So it's a school that has taken over some space, open space at Harper School. So yeah, and I know the park, which I went alongside, it looks like the gate is locked, but a lot of times the gate is just closed because there's so many children that play there, that I do see people climbing there who don't understand if they just unlatch the latch that that Harper Park with the you know, with the equipment is still available. But there is a long-term question that Jim brought up about the agreements with the Newport Mesa. So, and I'm happy to help with that too.
Thank you.
Staff have been exploring that for a couple of reasons. So as soon as we have an update, I'll be happy to share it with the commission.
Thank you, Mr. Minter. All right, the next item on our agenda is the update on the Arts and Culture Master Plan.
Thank you. This was an exciting opportunity, I think, for the city. And I know as new commissioners, and even for some of the ones that the two that have been around for a while, this is a process that started back in 2017 with council giving direction to the Culture Arts Committee and then to PAX as well to develop an Arts and Culture Master Plan. Most of the heavy lifting all took place before, you know, I came to town. So thank you to my predecessor, Justin Martin. Ashley Thomas, our recreation supervisor, was along for the ride, and I know had a hand in helping all of those things come to fruition. The plan did get approved by City Council on the 16th of March. The consultant, Mr. Richard Stein, did a fabulous presentation talking about all the different components of the Arts Master Plan. It did get approved 7-0 by the council, and now we're looking at the implementation phase. So, you know, we are in the budget process right now for City Council to approve budget items. There are a number of items that we've listed. I believe it's 8 or 9 different items that we've called out for year one is requesting funding for. I'm not sure how many of those the city budget will be able to afford, but we're hopeful that a couple of the key ones, adding a staff member, as well as, you know, doing to start with some of the marketing and hopefully increasing the grant program for arts are things that are going to be achievable during this first budget cycle. We'll be happy to keep everyone updated. The official Arts and Culture Master Plan has not yet been released. We just had a few tweaks and changes to make based on the conversations that took place during the meeting. But as soon as we do that, we'll make sure we link it to the website and share the link with all of the commissioners. So again, kudos to everybody, all the Arts Committee members. I know current Mayor Pro Tem Mar was one of the Culture Arts Committee members that, you know, helped push it forward years ago. I believe our own chair, Ms. Ashendorf, has played a strong role in it over the years. I'm not sure if any of the other current commissioners had a hand in it, but, you know, as I understand it, there were multiple meeting groups and multiple, you know, surveys, and just, you know, the outreach was pretty incredible. And I think goes to show the support that the city and the community have for arts here in the city. You know, now the goal is to take that plan and turn it into action. So without, you know, if you have any questions, please feel free to share them. I will make sure that each of you get a copy of that link as soon as we have it all nice and tidy and ready to go. We are going to get some books printed. But, you know, the fear is that we print it and put it on a shelf, and that's not the intention of the plan. The plan is to get it approved, sure, print a copy of it, but find ways to make it come to life. So that is our goal right now.
Thank you very much. Any comments or questions of Mr. Minter? All right, then we'll move on to the Park Ranger Monthly Report.
Thank you. You have a copy of the report before you. I would also like to introduce that we have a Lieutenant Brian Watkins of our Costa Mesa Police Department. He's on the call. Sylvia, if you could let him in. That way, if there are any questions, I know the request of the last meeting was, you know, there were some questions about bike licensing. Just to note that that whole topic isn't necessarily one of the main focuses of our PAX commission, but we wanted to make sure that we tried to get some of those questions answered from the commissioners. So, you know, without further ado, I can introduce Lieutenant Watkins. I believe he's out of the area on a call, so I really appreciate him taking the time to join us on tonight's call. The report, the Park Ranger report, is before you. So if you have any questions for me about the report or questions for Lieutenant Watkins, you are welcome to share those now.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mentor. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to the commission. Just to introduce myself again, Lieutenant Brian Watkins. I've been sworn a police officer with our city for 25 years. I'm currently the Area 1 commander, and what that simply means is I'm responsible for the south end of the city, basically south of Wilson. One of my other roles is I supervise our community policing unit, which includes our park rangers. I understand that there's been some questions, especially related to bike licensing, bike rack enforcements, and different things like that I've tried to answer through some correspondence with Mr. Mentor. I heard the request for ride-alongs and earlier when we spoke about that, and once the chief okays that, with COVID loosening up, we'd be more than happy to have the commissioners go on ride-alongs and continue that worthwhile collaboration with you guys. Again, I'm here to answer any questions you have, so I'll just kind of open it up to questions then.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Welcome. And do we have any questions specifically for Lieutenant Watkins?
Oh, come on. I didn't bring them all this way to let them just do an introduction.
Well, I have a couple things I can bring up and maybe it'll spark a few things. Actually, I am, and Mr. Mentor mentioned, I'm actually in a management school in Dana Point right now. It's beautiful down here, but just like up in Costa Mesa, but yeah, I am away. So that's why I'm not sure if I'm on video or not, but anyways, I know that licensing was an issue. So I just wanted to talk about bike licensing, why we have this ordinance. Obviously this ordinance has been around for decades. A lot of it has to do with assisting the police department in recovering lost and stolen bicycles. If you're like me, I don't necessarily have my serial number of my bicycle written down anywhere. And that's what licensing allows us to do. It allows us to license these bikes and to get these serial numbers into our database, which helps us to recover stolen bicycles. Just like on a car stop, when the police run a license plate of a vehicle, we do that with bicycles. So when we stop someone on the street for some type of violation, whatever that might be, or crime, we can run those serial numbers, and if that bike comes back stolen and it's in our system from the licensing, we can get that recovered. I talked to our property department in 2020, last year, 346 bicycles were booked into the Costa Mesa Police Department, and 251 of those bicycles went unclaimed. So, that's the real reason behind licensing, is trying to get those bikes back to their rightful owners. As far as enforcement for these, this is a tool that we use. It's not I like to say it's a scalpel. It's not a club. We're not really writing a ton of these tickets. It's just a tool that we can use. Last year, we only issued 34 total citations for bike licensing. And for the bike racks, 0 citations for any bike rack enforcement. And of course, our park rangers aren't gonna issue any citations for bike rack, not using a bike rack, unless there's signage and an available bike rack, obviously, in the park. So hopefully that answered a few questions. Again, I'm here for questions if you have any, or we can always reach out via email.
Any questions? Well, I do have one for you, Lieutenant, and that would be, I was asked by several of my neighbors if there would be an opportunity to have police or officers come to the schools once they're back in full swing, to have licensing done right on campuses. Is that through the police department, or would we go elsewhere?
No, well, the police department right now is at the forefront of licensing all the bike licenses. So we'll be doing all of those. We are working in collaboration with Mr. Mentor. Once things open up with COVID, we want to do reach out, have our parks people reach out and collaborate with parks, so that way we can do some pop-ups in some parks with our staff to get bikes registered. We can set up some tents in some parks and on the weekends, and really kind of do some outreach with the community to get more bikes registered. We used to have bike rodeos. That's something I think what you're referring to, Madam Chairman, Chairwoman. We did those through when I was in the traffic division. We had some bike rodeos. It was really about a bicycle safety training for children. So that's something that we can discuss, obviously, going forward. It's more of a community outreach thing. But at the very end of those bike rodeos, it was part of that where we did do some registering of bikes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'd like to acknowledge Vice Chair Rutherford.
Commissioner Glab raised his hand first. It's all you, Scott.
Thank you. Commissioner Glab.
Yeah, it was just, it was brought up last time. Is the only way to license to bring it to the police department, or is there a way to do it online? Or is there any future of doing it online?
Yeah, currently it has to be done in person at the police station. If doing something like that online or setting up something of that nature, that's something we would have to work through the city. The finance department would have to set up something of that nature.
Is there like a sticker that you give them to put on the bike?
Yeah, so after we register it, we basically fill out a small card. It takes a matter of a minute or two. We fill out a small card on the owner's name and information, where they live and the phone number for them, and the bike information and the bike serial number. We then attach a small sticker to the frame of the bicycle, and then we use that card to enter into our database. So even if that little sticker is removed, the actual physical license, we still have the serial number that's attached to that bicycle in our database, so we can run it later.
All right. And then what are the hours that you can come over in days to license your bike?
Well, the police station's open 7 days a week. We're currently open till 8 p.m. every evening. So it's 8 to 8.
8 to 8. Okay, great. That's good. Thank you. Appreciate that.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Rutherford.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And thank you, Lieutenant, for making the time to talk to us tonight. I just wanted to say I appreciate that you're not citing people for the bike rack violations, given that not all of our parks yet have bike racks, but I know Director Minner is going to get us there. And then to the comment about online licensing, is the fire department giving out bike license? Like if I went to a fire station, could I license a bike?
In the past they were, but with the fire station, just, they're not, they're manned 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, but oftentimes when fire goes on a call, they're not available for walk-ups and stuff like that, where our front desk is manned, obviously during business hours. So the police department's taken the lead on that, and I don't believe the fire department's involved in the process any longer. As far as the bike racks, I'm just going to touch on that point. The whole purpose of that issue was, a tool to deal with when we had a lot of homeless encampments in our park. So it's such a rare tool or violation that we use in those specific instances when we have encampments and bikes strewn about the park where people are unable to do it or use it.
Okay, thank you. And then my last question, Lieutenant, is, would you be open to, having it be a policy that instead of paying the fine for a citation, somebody could remedy this citation by going and getting their bike licensed, so that, as the best way to, encourage people to go get their bikes licensed rather than be penalized with a fine?
Well, like I mentioned earlier, we've only written 34 bike license citations in all of 2020. So this is a very rare tool or violation that we're using. Our officers and our park rangers have extreme discretion, obviously, in enforcing the law. And a lot of the things, the contacts that we're making, we are using that discretion and in educating the public and not issuing violations for that.
Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Commissioner Dorn Parker.
Yeah, thank you. So I had a question. You brought this up about we don't do rodeos anymore. And I'm wondering if we can merge sort of with the parks and the police and the bike and walkability. There's such an increase in e-bikes, and these young people are zipping around our streets, and they're using, they're using similar to like a low-grade motorbike. I would love to see when COVID resigns or we can come up with a plan, but I'm wondering if this makes sense, because I worry so much. So many of these kids are on these bikes going 20 miles an hour, and it's clear they don't understand the rules of the road, and they're running through stop signs, especially on the east side. It's so dangerous that I'm wondering if there's a way we can sort of use a carrot instead of a stick to have, you know, bike rodeos and resources in using the parks where they would come and show them, you know, where they can ride. But I don't know if it's just anecdotal on my part, but I'm just so worried, and it seems worse and worse with so many of these children having more and more access to e-bikes versus the traditional, you know, pedal motorbike. So I wasn't sure if that's something that you felt was the same, or is that something we can do and encourage like a multi-dimensional approach to this where the parks are used and that kind of stuff.
Well, I think we're always looking for ways to, you know, outreach to the community. And I think the bike rodeos are something that has a positive educational message. So I'm happy to pass that along to our traffic division. They're the ones who kind of spearheaded that in the past, and let them know that's something that, you know, as things move forward, once schools get back open, that's something they can explore, obviously.
Thank you.
And from our perspective, you know, Lieutenant Watkins mentioned it, but we are planning on trying to partner with police. And I've had correspondence with people from the department about trying to have, whether it's a bike rodeo or not, whether it's our mobile wrecking or when we have some outdoor recreational type events as they come back online, trying to engage, you know, PD with, you know, the people that might be riding their bikes to the park. So that is our department goal, to work in conjunction with the police department for that cause as well.
Thank you. I'm really glad to hear that goal, because I'm a new owner of an electric bike and I really am not prepared to ride it all the way to City Hall. So bring it to the park in my neighborhood. Anyway, Lieutenant Watkins, I don't
Chair
see.
Ashendorf, I'm sorry, we have a member of the public that has their hand raised. I believe they have a question for the lieutenant.
Thank you very much. I didn't see that.
Sylvia, would you like to invite him in?
David, if you'd like to speak, Lieutenant Watkins and the commissioners.
Hello, thank you. Well, first of all, I wanted to say that I recently organized a bike ride with some of my friends to go Easter egg hunting, the big Easter eggs that Recreation put up. And at the end of the ride, I made sure to head over to the police station and get their bikes registered, their bikes licensed. So that's another 3 bike licenses. But I do want to say, I heard a statistic, I think it was 250 out of 310, I don't remember the exact numbers, of bikes went unclaimed that were stolen. But I would wonder how many of the 60 were recovered because of a bike license. I heard that there were bike rodeos at schools in the past. I've been in an NMUSD public school for 12 of the last 13 years, and I had never heard of a bike rodeo. I'd never experienced a bike rodeo, neither have any of my friends. So I just hope it becomes more publicized in the future so that we can make sure that students have their bikes licensed. I would also encourage you guys to work with the Bikeway and Walkability Committee so that we can organize a bike to school event. And at that event, we can register students' bicycles. So to do that. And I was also wondering if the police substation at by Lions Park would be able to register bicycles. That way someone who's living in the west side wouldn't have to go all the way to City Hall or, you know, the Civic Center in order to register their bicycle. And maybe one last thing, also to encourage someone to not go to City Hall, would be to register on location instead of writing a citation. I know that you've said it's only 34 citations, but frankly, I think 1 citation might be a bit too many. So, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll touch on a couple of those points real quick. As far as the statistics, I'll just kind of go through those. I might have glanced over a few things, but Yeah, so last year, 346 bicycles were booked into our property unit. 251 of those went unclaimed and went to auction. So that means that 95 bikes were actually returned to their owners, whether that was through bike licensing or in some other manner. So hopefully bike licensing had a big impact and was able to get those bicycles back to their owners. As far as the rodeo, yes, we haven't done a rodeo in some time. It has been a long time. Like I said, I've been here 25 years. And the last bike rodeo we probably did when I was an officer in the traffic division, when I was a special events coordinator, which had to have been 15 to 16 years ago. So it has been a long time that we've partnered to do something like that. As far as the substation's concerned, the substation isn't manned. The substation is a place where officers drop in to do some paperwork, but it's not actually manned all day by anyone. It's just a place where officers can come in and do some of their paperwork and complete some business. So that wouldn't be a good place for that. And you know, I appreciate your ideas that one citation is too many, but you know, enforcement is an educational tool at some points. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lieutenant. Any other comments? All right. We appreciate your time and look forward to working with you in the future. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Good evening.
Thank you, sir.
All right. The next item on our agenda is the report by our Parks and Community Services Director.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The report is there for your review and hopefully enjoyment. The Senior Center continues to be very busy delivering meals to seniors. We're also in process of trying to arrange some vaccination pods. I can't really give out too many details at this point, but utilizing the Senior Center as a resource in the west side of Costa Mesa to help our seniors and some of our low-income residents get vaccinated. So hopefully we'll have things to report at your April meeting on that. There's a lot of talk right now about getting things reopened, a lot of discussions about our summer programs. As Newport Mesa has announced that they are getting ready to, have kids go back to school full time. Parents looking for aftercare. We, unfortunately suffered losses to our staff when the city furloughed a lot of our part-time employees. So we're working with our Human Resources Department to try to re-engage as many of those staff members as possible, the ones that weren't able to work. But we do have, some shortfalls that we're going to have to go out and get some new people hired. We're in the process of that. As our new rec manager, that's one of Monique's big targets right now, is what are we going to do, not just in April when we've been giving the approval to start doing some indoor gym type activities. We're looking at a couple of activities getting started in the downtown rec center. So you are going to start hearing more about reopening programs, and we'll get those advertised and posted online through the online community guide. In terms of other things to look forward to, or I know Commissioner Ashendorf, Chairperson Ashendorf mentioned the egg extravaganza. We're not quite at the goal that I was hoping that we'd get to in terms of family participation, but I've been told by staff if you count each member of the family, then we probably did achieve the goal that I set. So to be fair, they did a great job. It was so great to see some of the pictures that were posted online of the participants in the extravaganza. So if you haven't done it yet, and thank you to Mr. Martinez for taking his friends out to find the eggs. I think that really was a clever idea by staff, and we're trying to find ways to engage the community as much as possible. So again, kudos to staff for their creativity, from all of their online activities to things like this park hop extravaganza. And there is still more to come. We're talking about doing more drive-in movies. We've been in conversations with the foundation about trying to do a concert at least in the park or in another venue. So we're trying to bring some of those events that really make Costa Mesa a community. We're trying to bring some of those back as the COVID guidelines allow us to. To talk about some of the, where to go? Oh, capital projects. Perez Park is technically open and operating. I was there for an update meeting earlier this week, and it is great to see the little ones. I totally agree that it's a toddler park. There was, I think, some confusion about gates or no gates, and we are working to get gates installed. There's also a couple other amenities. There's some little permanent bistro tables that will be added. At some point, they weren't quite ready at the time that the park was open. So there's a couple minor changes that will take place at Perez Park. And if you've been by Lions Park, they're continuing progress on the playground area over on the southeast side. So those are exciting. We're still doing some improvements at the Norma Herzog, even though it's technically done. We're still not open to the public, and they continue to finish up on a few things over there. So I'll turn it over to Monique. As our new rec manager, she's had 2.5 whole weeks to get up to speed. We've thrown budget stuff at her, some program questions. So she's taking it all in stride, and she keeps coming back to work. So we take that as a positive sign. But Monique, anything to add on the monthly?
Just like Jason said, that we're working on getting the programs ready to reopen. So once we're given the green light, we have we can just let's hit the ground running. But we're also looking at keeping some of the things that that have been successful during the shutdown. We want to transition slowly, like the grocery boxes with the senior centers and the meal delivery. We want to keep some of that was successful, but also gradually work towards reopening in person as well. So just having a lot of success with those programs and just highlighting some of the stuff that, like at the aquatic center where they had one of the busiest months ever with the lap swim. So finding that balance of continuing the programs that were successful during the shutdown and working towards reopening, especially stuff like with our camps and after school programs, the stuff that will be in conjunction with school district reopening. So.
And if I might, just a couple of final things. I know Fairview Park was brought up. I know Cynthia is working with the Fairview Park Alliance on some restoration days. When it comes to Fairview Park and the bike racks, it's an idea that I've heard multiple times. I wish the city made it easy and we didn't have all the hoops to jump through that include Measure AA and the different committees, but we are trying to bring an item before the Fairview Park Steering Committee to discuss where the location of the bike racks would be. Unfortunately, there aren't a lot of concrete paths out there to install bike racks, but it's something that we're exploring and trying to find the right location to put numerous bike racks in, so to make it a nice amenity in that park. So I hope that nobody interprets it as not wanting bike racks there, but we're just trying to make sure that we line up everything in order so that we can do it properly and we don't ruffle any feathers. And then finally, the last section, the announcements. At the Tuesday, the March 16th council meeting, the city council did approve the renaming of Civic Center Park after former police chief Roger Neff. It was a very touching video that City Cable had put together a few years ago. So it was great to see that named after him. And I look forward to doing more of a sign unveiling and things like that in the future. Also, I just wanted to give the commission an update. We did submit our Prop 68 grant application for Ketchum Live Oak Park. That is now in the hands of the state. I want to say thank you to my friends in public services for their help in putting that application together. We also have a consultant, Townsend and Associates, that helps with a lot of these legislative matters. And Sean from Townsend was instrumental in helping us get that application submitted. Now we kind of sit on our hands and twiddle our thumbs waiting for the state to announce whether we got the $900,000 that we're applying for or not. We will start the process of trying to secure a landscape architect. We do have some funding in the project right now, so at least we can work on that. A bummer would be if we didn't get the grant and we're stuck kind of holding a set of plans. But once we do start with that process, we will re-engage the commission, as we do want to use this as a focal point for the community that want to provide input on the redevelopment of that park. So that's it for my director's report. Both Monique and I are here to answer any questions that you have about that. I will try to follow up on some of the other topics that were mentioned during public comment so that commissioners have an idea of where things are going. That's it for me.
All right. As the elder statesperson, someone who attends or audits several of the Zoom classes for the seniors, if I have to hear one more time, when are we going to get together as an isolated senior, I need to get out. That's what I hear. I told them I would bring that up to you, especially at the last meeting on Tuesday. I heard, well, 90% of all seniors are vaccinated, so we need to get back. So come up with your clever ideas, whatever it is, dig deeply into your magic trick box to come up with some ways to engage our seniors. Keep that up. Also, the arts people. We have beautiful outdoor settings. It'll be wonderful to provide some opportunities for arts in the parks or somewhere in the future. And lastly, I was asked by several people, when will we be bringing the mobile recreation van into the community now that more children are outdoors playing? So any comments?
I mean, on the last one, the mobile rec unit, we've talked about it. At this point, due to the nature of that program and the number of households that all would kind of gather around it, it's probably on the lower end of what would be coming back. I know Mariana and Angel Bear are working on trying to bring back some senior programs slowly. I know the vaccinations, that it's great that I believe I just heard earlier this afternoon that vaccination rate was that high for seniors, which is amazing. I still think we're going to be a little bit cautious about how quickly we fill rooms up with people, but there are a lot of ideas. There has been a lot of talk. And again, that's one of the fun things Monique gets to bring back. She's going to be the hero that brings all this programming, where clearly I couldn't do it since I started in July. Like, it's taken me too long. We had to bring in the closer. So we're giving her the old number 2 to come in and close this thing out and get our programs going again. Did you have any other questions, Chair Ashendorf?
Just arts in the park, throwing that out there.
We are working on it. And again, as we look for implementation of this arts and culture master plan, that will be a big component of it. However, we are early in the budget process. So, as we get to those meetings, we'll make sure we share that information with the commissioners so you can share your thoughts to the council.
Thank you.
Commissioner Pullen has his hand up.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. I don't see a hand raise button on my Zoom screen, so sorry about that. Fairview Park.
When you said you were going to Georgia, we took it off. You don't get it anymore.
It flipped off.
All right, go ahead, sir.
So the topic of conversation of Fairview Park and bike racks, right? I'm a huge advocate of using what we already have there, At Fairview Park, in the parking lot, there are these logs behind each parking space, like these individual logs. Can't we do something like put some kind of handles onto those things that we can convert those to bike racks?
We have some ideas, not to discount yours, but I've been speaking with public services, and we have a few ideas. We have some designs of it. We're trying not to just knee-jerk reaction to it, because once we drill holes in concrete or whatever we do,
I know.
we can't fix it. So, and again, it's really more about following the proper procedure and keeping the appropriate bodies involved. And the Fairview Park Steering Committee definitely deserves a hand in it. Their agenda's been quite full the last couple of months. They even had a special meeting because of all the stuff they have as a committee to go over. So, I do ask for just a little bit more patience, because we are trying to rein this thing in. It's a request that I don't think anybody has a problem with. So, it's really about where can we put them, and again, to make them safe. Typically when I think of a park and you want to put a bike rack somewhere, you put the bike rack where the amenity is. And in Fairview Park, we have bathrooms, we have a picnic shelter, but the park or the amenity is a 200-acre complex. So, technically there's a lot of places that you could put them, but Measure A does say that we can't put concrete pads anywhere. That's forbidden unless we take it to the vote of the people. And that's not something that I'm looking to put on a ballot right now in any sort of election. So we're trying to use all the tools we can to get them installed without violating any measures. I don't believe that was the intention of Measure A, but we're looking at the letter of the law as Measure A was written. So we do have ideas. There are some great concepts out there to try to repurpose areas that may be underused. So again, be patient. If you give me a few more weeks, we should have a solution to this that we can share with the commission by next month.
Thank you. If there are no other comments, then I wish those happy Easter, Commissioner Pullen, happy trails, and everyone else, happy spring. And we will then adjourn to April 22nd at 4 p.m.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you.